Did you know that some foods can turn toxic if you refrigerate them? It sounds surprising, but keeping certain foods in the fridge can actually make them harmful to your health. Most people have always believed the refrigerator was the safest place to store almost everything: leftovers, groceries, fruits, and vegetables. But here's the thing, not every food belongs in that chilly space. Some foods can actually become harmful, lose flavor, or even develop toxic compounds when exposed to cold temperatures. You might have a few of these in your fridge right now, thinking you're keeping them fresh. But understanding how cold affects them can make a huge difference in keeping you and your loved ones healthy. By the time you finish this, you'll know which everyday foods should stay out of the fridge, and why making that small change can protect your health and make your meals taste better too. Let's start with one that surprises almost everyone: the potato. Most people toss potatoes into the fridge without a second thought, assuming the cooler air will slow down sprouting. But cold temperatures do something sneaky. They convert the potato's natural starches into sugars at a much faster rate. That change alters not only the taste, making them oddly sweet, but also the chemistry inside the potato. When you cook those cold-stored potatoes later, especially by frying or roasting them, the sugars combine with amino acids and create a compound called acrylamide. In high amounts, acrylamide has been linked to nerve problems and possibly even cancer. For older adults or anyone with health concerns, it's a risk worth avoiding. The texture of refrigerated potatoes also changes. Instead of that perfect fluffiness you want in mashed potatoes, they can turn grainy or rubbery. Take the story of Bill, a 77-year-old who loved making crispy hash browns every Sunday. He used to keep his potatoes in the fridge's bottom drawer because he thought it made them last longer. Over time, he noticed they browned unevenly and had a weirdly sweet taste. After a bit of research, he moved them to a paper bag in his pantry, and the difference was instant. The flavor returned, the texture improved, and he didn't have to worry about what cold storage might be doing to his health. The simple act of storing potatoes in a dark, cool cabinet rather than the refrigerator can save both the taste and the nutritional quality of your food. Now let's talk about onions. It might seem logical to put them in the fridge so they don't sprout, but that's actually one of the fastest ways to ruin them. Onions prefer a dry, ventilated environment. When they sit in a refrigerator, the moisture seeps into their layers, breaking down the cell walls and turning them soft and slimy. The crispness disappears, and the flavor, that sharp, satisfying bite, weakens. What's worse, cold air encourages their natural sugars to leak out, creating a sticky layer that's perfect for mold and bacteria. If your onion skin has even a tiny cut, it becomes a breeding ground for spoilage. Patricia, an 81-year-old home cook, used to wrap half-used onions in plastic and stash them in the fridge. Within days, she noticed black mold spots or an unpleasant smell, even when the outside looked okay. Once she switched to keeping onions in a mesh bag in her pantry, she noticed they stayed firm for weeks and had a stronger, fresher flavor. It was a small change, but it made her cooking easier and safer. If you've been keeping onions in the fridge, try storing them in a dry place with good airflow. You'll be amazed at how much better they taste and how long they last. Garlic is another kitchen favorite that doesn't mix well with cold. Many people tuck garlic bulbs into the refrigerator hoping to keep them fresh longer, but that cold humidity actually triggers sprouting. Within days, green shoots appear, draining the clove's strong flavor and leaving behind a bitter, rubbery taste. The refrigerator's moisture can also cause mold to grow between the papery layers, something you might not notice until you cut the bulb open. Moldy garlic not only tastes bad but can cause digestive upset. Samuel, age 75, learned this the hard way. He always stored his garlic bulbs at the back of the fridge and wondered why they smelled musty and turned soft so quickly. After switching to a small basket on his countertop, away from direct sunlight, his garlic stayed firm and flavorful for weeks. Now he enjoys cooking again without worrying about bitter or spoiled cloves. The best way to store garlic is at room temperature in a well-ventilated space. It's such a small adjustment, but it keeps your meals flavorful and safe, especially for anyone who uses garlic daily for its health benefit. Bread is another one people almost always refrigerate to keep it from going bad, but cold air is bread's enemy. When bread sits in the fridge, the starch molecules reorganize themselves, a process called retrogradation, which causes it to go stale much faster. Within a day or two, even the freshest loaf becomes hard and crumbly. The refrigerator's humidity doesn't help either. It encourages mold growth, especially on breads that don't contain preservatives. That means your effort to make the loaf last longer can actually ruin it quicker. Jean, who's 84, used to refrigerate her bread every week. She noticed that by midweek, the slices were dry, and sometimes little green spots of mold showed up between them. Once she started keeping her bread in a paper bag on the counter and freezing only what she couldn't eat right away, she noticed a world of difference. The texture stayed soft and the taste stayed fresh. She no longer wasted money tossing out spoiled loaves. If you want your bread to stay at its best, store it at room temperature and use the freezer for extra slices. When you thaw them later, they'll taste just like new, no mold, no dryness. Tomatoes are another surprise for many people. They might seem like they'd last longer in the fridge, but cold temperatures actually destroy their natural flavor. When chilled, the enzymes that give tomatoes their sweet, tangy taste shut down, leaving them bland and watery. The cold also breaks down the fruit's delicate cell walls, which is why refrigerated tomatoes often feel mealy or grainy instead of juicy. Even their beautiful aroma fades. Marilyn, 79, grew the most beautiful tomatoes in her garden every summer. She used to refrigerate them, thinking it would help them last through the week. But one day, she realized her sandwiches didn't taste the same. The tomatoes had lost their sweetness and texture. Once she started keeping them on her kitchen counter, she got that vibrant flavor back. Now she leaves them at room temperature until they're ripe, then uses them right away. If you have too many to use, you can freeze them for sauces later instead of chilling them raw. Keeping tomatoes out of the fridge helps preserve their color, taste, and all those nutrients that make them so healthy. Honey is another food that suffers in the fridge. It doesn't spoil at room temperature because it's naturally antimicrobial. Bacteria and mold can't grow in it. But when you put honey in the refrigerator, it thickens, crystallizes, and turns gritty. It becomes hard to pour, and though it's still edible, it loses its smooth texture and golden flow. Repeated cooling and warming can even make it ferment, changing its flavor and smell. There's also another reason to keep honey out of the cold. Raw honey contains enzymes and antioxidants that help soothe sore throats and support healing. Cold temperatures can weaken these compounds, reducing honey's natural medicinal quality. Larry, age 82, kept his honey in the fridge for years until he noticed it turning grainy. When he switched to a sealed jar stored in his pantry, his honey stayed silky smooth, easy to drizzle, and full of that natural sweetness. He enjoyed his morning oatmeal again, and knew he was still getting honey's full health benefit. The key is simple: store honey tightly sealed at room temperature. Keep moisture out, and it'll last practically forever. Melons are another food people tend to refrigerate right away, especially in summer, but whole melons actually do better at room temperature. Keeping them cold before cutting them reduces their flavor, aroma, and even their nutritional value. Research has shown that melons kept outside the fridge retain more antioxidants like vitamin C and beta-carotene. Cold air, on the other hand, dulls their sweetness and can turn their flesh mealy or mushy. Once you cut a melon open, you do need to refrigerate it to keep it safe from bacteria. But before that, it's best left out. Frank, who's 80, always put his watermelons straight into the fridge after shopping. He noticed that the fruit tasted flat and less juicy than the ones he remembered from his youth. When he started keeping them on the counter until cutting time, the difference was remarkable. The color was brighter, the taste was sweeter, and the texture was firmer. Now he keeps only the leftover slices in the fridge, covered tightly, and enjoys each bite the way it's meant to be. All these examples show one simple truth: the refrigerator isn't the one-size-fits-all solution most of us grew up believing it was. Some foods thrive in cool, dark pantries, others prefer room temperature. Understanding which is which helps you avoid waste, preserve flavor, and protect your health. Think about it. A few small changes like moving your potatoes and onions to a cabinet, leaving honey on the shelf, or keeping tomatoes out on the counter can make your meals taste fresher and reduce unnecessary health risk. It's not about complicated routines or expensive gadgets. It's about being mindful of how food behaves in different environments. Seniors especially can benefit from these simple habits, as they often cook for themselves and want to make every meal as safe and nourishing as possible. Storing food the right way helps reduce exposure to toxins, prevents digestive issues, and ensures that every bite delivers its full nutritional value. So next time you unload groceries, pause before putting everything in the fridge. Ask yourself which foods truly need the cold, and which ones actually suffer from it. You might be surprised how much better your meals taste, and how much longer your ingredients last. Something as small as keeping garlic dry, potatoes in the dark, or bread on the counter can completely change your kitchen experience. And when your food tastes better and keeps longer, it's not just your wallet that benefits. It's your health, your energy, and your overall peace of mind. Every little choice adds up. Maybe you'll be like Bill, Patricia, Samuel, Jean, Marilyn, Larry, or Frank, each of them discovered that one simple storage change made their food safer, their meals more enjoyable, and their kitchens more efficient. These everyday adjustments remind us that taking care of ourselves doesn't always mean doing something big. Sometimes, it's just about paying attention to the small things we do every day, like where we put our potatoes or how we store our honey. Food safety and good health often start with awareness. Knowing that cold can sometimes harm instead of help gives you the power to make smarter decisions at home. And once you start making these little changes, you'll feel more confident knowing your food isn't just safe to eat but also tastes the way nature intended. Thank you for sticking around till the end and learning about these everyday foods that deserve a second look before heading into the fridge. The next time someone says, "Just put it in the refrigerator," you'll know better, and your meals, your health, and your family will thank you for it.